Tonight's headlines are brought to you in part by Coldwell Energy and McDonald's.
Good evening, Commonwealth, and thanks for watching the Channel 2 News. I'm Sally Lemus. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. Traveling is made easy for fully vaccinated individuals. Also tonight, millions of dollars spent for quarantine hotels. And the investigation into the governor continues. In sports, another bubble for athletes visiting the Sinamay next year. Stay with us, these stories and more are next.
And there you have it, McDonald's new crispy chicken sandwich. From the makers of the world's most stolen fries. The juicy chicken sandwich from the place that offers extra napkins for a reason. The tender chicken sandwich from the creators of a sandwich phenomenon. So you won't just be biting into a chicken sandwich, you'll be biting into McDonald's new crispy, juicy, tender chicken sandwich. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Half a day to the Wami and good evening, Commonwealth. Today is Wednesday, November 17, 2021. In line with CDC guidance and the lifting of restriction for foreign travelers, the Sinamay modifies once more its entry protocols. Major changes in entry protocols for travelers coming into the Sinamay will take effect in just a few days. Beginning November 19, fully vaccinated travelers who show proof of having a fully vaccinated household will not be required to quarantine. The only time quarantine will be required is if the passenger will be returning to an unvaccinated household or if the passenger itself is unvaccinated. Hospital Chief Esther Muñoz states the intention is to strengthen the testing strategy to close the gap in contact tracing.
We don't want to quarantine you if we don't need to quarantine you. So we want to get to the information. If you can't provide it, we will help you. We'll make the contacts ourselves.
All incoming travelers will be required to fill out a health declaration form prior to arrival, where they must list all close contacts. They will also be required to upload their vaccination card.
There is going to be a new team that's going to be verifying that. Earlier, we were requiring that individuals have a secondary verification. We are going to accept your vaccination card. We're going to have someone take a look at it and possibly even perform that secondary verification for you as well. So we're going to be more, I would say, put more customer service into it, making sure that to help you out.
Testing upon arrival will not be required as well in efforts to focus on the community-based testing. They must, however, still get tested for COVID-19 on their 5th day stay.
Once you arrive at the airport, you're ready to go home. We will see you in 5 days, and if we don't see you in 5 days, and maybe because you left early, our turnkey system, or our system that basically will identify individuals that have not been tested on day 5, we will make the contacts based on the contact list, call them up and say, hey, your contact left, but we didn't test you, but would you like to be tested? And we want to test individuals that are part of that group.
These changes come after CHCC and the task force analyzed the challenges of the current system. It's been reported that more than 500 people can get tested in just one day. The testing volume disturbs daily operations at the hospital and creates staff retention issues.
Yeah, we haven't had a long vacation, but it's not fine that even healthcare workers haven't taken their vacation. We need to get them to have their time as well and get their wellness in check.
But Munya says to look at the opportunities that made them confident to change entry protocols.
We have strong contact tracing, as Stephanie had mentioned, data collection and tracking with our turnkey system that's in place. Basically, a person who enters the CNMI, we have the ability to know their records, their vaccination records, their contacts, where they're staying. So we have that. The community. That's our opportunity. Our community has been so good at this. We're here now with this minimal. It's a lot. 100 number, yes, it's a lot, but it could have been worse, and it's because of the community.
Quarantine is free to residents who are mandated to isolate themselves, but it's the CNMI who pays millions of dollars for it. How much? Let's find out. The governor first declared mandatory quarantine for incoming travelers on March of 2020. Since then, it's also been used to isolate individuals who test positive for COVID and persons under investigation. That means thousands of people go in and out of quarantine for free. There are about 5 active quarantine facilities on island, and according to the governor's authorized representative, Patrick Guerrero, the CNMI pays for each room that is being used.
All these contracts are all on a room utilized basis, so we pay for whatever rooms we use and whatever meals are provided, and that's it.
The contracts for the bigger quarantine sites, such as Canoa Resort, Marianas Resort, and the Pacific Islands Club, gets renewed every 90 days. Capitol Hotel and Century Hotel is contracted for 2 weeks.
It's a common practice with federal programs, not knowing when that end date is. Of course, every contract also comes with a termination clause where we could terminate at any point with some ample notice to them that we're going to vacate. And so since then, we've just been doing 90-day renewals up until this date. For some of the smaller properties that we recently occupied, it was probably just a week or two that we gave them that we would probably use the property.
As of June 30, 2021, the CNMI has spent $13.4 million on rooms alone. But of course, a portion of that is reimbursed by FEMA. The rest of the costs were paid by local funds and CARES Act funds.
We knew we would have to tap into either CARES Act funding or other funding sources. At the end of the day, we may have used local funds to make payments, but at the end of the day, we tie it to federal funds so that there's no added burden to the local funds that are, not so readily available.
And with the recent change in entry protocols, we can expect less quarantine rooms to be filled.
We do anticipate that we're going to need less rooms as we're going to be releasing vaccinated travelers. So we probably will, at some point in the next 2 to 3 weeks as it transitions into that program, most likely we'll just be at Canoa and Marianas Resort. At the end of the day, it would be great if it was just Marianas Resort. It's a government-owned property. But as we do anticipate community cases from time to time, the Canoa is always ready for isolation facility.
Kensington Hotel is not included in the reimbursement contracts as tourist accommodations are not an allowable expense by FEMA. The hybrid quarantine site is being paid by the Marianas Visitors Authority. After refusing to answer any questions from lawmakers, the House panel votes to hold the governor's executive assistant in contempt.
I, Francis Dela Cruz, hereby object to the subpoena served on me today, November 16, 2021, at 12:42 p.m., less than 1 hour ago, because of the following. Number one, the subpoena must comply with 1 CMC Section 1302A subpoenas, notice to witnesses. A, service of a subpoena requiring the attendance of a person at a hearing of an investigating committee shall be made at least 5 days prior to the date of the hearing unless a shorter period of time is authorized by majority vote of all the members of the committee, in a particular instance when, in their opinion, the giving of 5-day notice is not practicable. But if a shorter period of time is authorized, the person subpoenaed shall be given reasonable notice of the hearing consistent with the particular circumstances involved. Number two, I object to this subpoena because my employer and I have raised testimonial immunity, executive privilege as provided under the constitutional separation of powers doctrine. Number three, the subpoena is overbroad in that it seeks information unrelated to any official duties of myself and or the governor. Number four, the subpoena exceeds the scope of the legislative authority and power.
Frances de la Cruz repeatedly stated her objection to the subpoena and refused to answer any questions from members of the House Committee on Judiciary and Governmental Operations. De la Cruz, who is the executive assistant to the governor, appeared before the committee after a second subpoena was issued to her. She was joined by her counsel, Viola Alipudzu, and the governor's counsel, Gilbert Burnbridge, and attorney Ross Garber online. The hearing began with a question by Vice Chairman B.J. Attal regarding her name and position, but de la Cruz cited her objection over and over again. Other members of the committee, Representative Ed Probst and Tina Sablon, also tried to question her, but de la Cruz stood her ground.
Your reluctance to testify today, to speak to any of our questions, is disrespectful to the chair and to this committee. I'm stating this for the record. I do want to ask you, though, did your employer, Governor Torres, ask you not to answer our questions today?
I, Frances de la Cruz, hereby object to the subpoena served on me today.
De la Cruz was then excused until further notice.
This in no way releases you from the subpoena that was served upon you today. And we will notify you of your next appearance date.
Chairwoman Selena Babauta states de la Cruz was subpoenaed to appear weeks ago and even gave her the option to give information in writing. Babauta says the governor's attorneys have counseled to stonewall and obstruct the investigation.
They have claimed privileges and immunities with no legal basis, and they have even threatened to sue the members of this committee if we enforce our lawful subpoenas. We are a separate and co-equal branch of the government. Article 2, Section 14 of the NMI Constitution says that each house may compel the attendance and testimony of witnesses before the House or its committees. We will not be stymied or intimidated, and we will get to the bottom of this.
The committee unanimously voted to hold her in contempt of a legislative subpoena for failing and refusing to answer any relevant question related to the investigations of Governor Ralph Torres. House Speaker Edmund Villagomez then certified the letter and had it sent to the Attorney General's office earlier this afternoon. The investigative hearings will continue this week, with 3 more police officers subpoenaed to appear. CNMI's police chief says his men are just doing their job. While Governor Torres made a request to the JGO House Committee to stop the harassment and intimidation on public servants, Chairwoman Selena Babauta states it is the governor who has implicated innocent employees on the documents received by her committee. The committee has called in multiple employees under the Department of Finance and Department of Public Safety to explain documents and answer questions pertaining to certain actions of the governor. Police Chief Robert Guerrero provided a comment on the hearings and states his men were just doing their job.
My guys are there to do their job. As far as providing security to public officials, if you look at the law, and I even got an AG's opinion saying that the law is very open for providing security to public officials, and that's what my officers have been doing. I think they've done a superb job. and them being brought in, trying to say things that actually never, that are not right or not truthful, is wrong for that.
Guerrero says a lot of the information obtained by the committee are based on hearsay and not actual facts.
Where they're getting their information from, I strongly believe that they never did their investigation, and it's just people just coming up to telling them things. So everything that they've been testifying for, they've been honest, and I believe in my officers.
Over the past months, more than 5 police officers have been subpoenaed by the JGO committee. More officers are scheduled to appear before them this week, November 18 and 19, and also next week, November 23. A tip to the police leads to the arrest of 3 local males. Manny Camacho Jr., Matthew Duenas, and Donovan Chargaloff have been arrested and are charged with burglary and theft. Police met with staff at the IPR warehouse in San Antonio, who reported the area was burglarized with multiple items missing. The Department of Safety received several tips on a possible suspect, later identified as Manny Camacho Jr. Camacho was brought in for questioning and admitted his involvement. Police then arrested Duenas and Chargaloff, who also admitted their involvement, as well as other pending burglary cases. Bail has been set for each individual at $15,000. Coming up, more behind the scenes in the travel to Spain. Stay tuned.
You are everything that matters to me. And I promise to do whatever it takes to keep you healthy, to be comfortable, and to be free. I love you. As long as we're together, I'll always make sure that home will always be our best place to breathe.
My doctor gave me the pills, so they must be safe, right?
If taken exactly as prescribed, short-term use can be safe, but painkillers have real risk. Misusing an opioid painkiller can cause serious harm, including addiction and death, and misuse can happen quite easily. Make sure you never mix them with alcohol, antidepressants, sedatives, or sleep aids. And if you are prescribed an opioid, you need to tell your doctor about any other drugs, including herbal supplements that you are taking. It only takes a little to lose a lot.
This project was supported by a grant from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation. Contents are solely the responsibility of CHCC and do not necessarily represent the official views of the CDC or the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Welcome back to the Channel 2 News. It's not where you are from, it's where you are going. More tonight from the Camino de Santiago. Our Chris Nelson is about to enter the Meseta, and he is walking and listening as he makes his way across Spain.
What kind of people have the time to walk for 30 days? Well, teachers, for one. The long summers give enough of a window to do a long journey like this. I'm walking with one of them. Emma grew up in the southern part of France. As a young child, she surrounded herself with books, brothers, and a sister. The family moved north just outside of Paris when she was 7. This spring, she told her students and family that she would spend the summer walking 800 kilometers to Santiago.
Back home, when I said I'm thinking about doing the Camino, people were like, but alone, you're a woman, so you should do that with friends, someone. You can't do it alone.
The Camino de Santiago is safe. In fact, it's known as one of the safest places in the world to hike alone. There's good infrastructure, ample water stations, but it does have real physical challenges.
I'm used to hike, but it's only, for a few days, so it's a lot different here. It's every day, all day, and sometimes, a lot of time for me, it hurts,
La Meseta lays directly ahead, 200 kilometers of dry wheat fields and days of nothingness, which for many is a mental challenge as well.
I am in the moment in my life where I'm searching for a meaning, and I think I can find it in the faith. So I have a lot of questions, and I'm hoping doing the Camino will give me answers.
Thank you, Chris. All right, don't go anywhere. We have sports up next.
For the different beats of your life, we're here to keep you connected the way you want it. Plans made for you, by you. Build your own bundle with Link. Select the internet, entertainment, mobile, and home phone plans that fit your lifestyle. Pay for what you want, not for what you don't. Build your own bundle and save with Link.
Green sea turtles and hawksbill turtles call the Mariana Islands home. They're an important part of the marine ecosystem. They are under threat, and they are protected under CNMI law. Keep plastic out of the ocean. Keep vehicles off the beach. Use the Sea Turtle Stranding Hotline if you see poaching activities or if you see a turtle in trouble. Call 287-8537 and save a turtle.
Tonight's sports brought to you in part by Tan Holdings through the Tan Su Lin Foundation, making communities a better place to live.
Buenas sports fans.
And now we give you the KSPN2 Sports Report. Baseball tryout continues at the Francisco M. Palacios Baseball Field. Saipan Baseball League continues the strength and conditioning exercises for those who joined the baseball tryout. The number of trainees tripled since the first day of tryout.
This is our second week, our first week, ending Friday for our strength and conditioning. As you can see, the numbers have tripled from the first time we had the sign up, and it's day by day we're getting like 1 or 2 or 3 additional trainees.
According to Daron Flores, they should have the final selection of players by the end of December or early January next year.
We're trying to get them in shape again for, before we start getting into our cuts. Our cuts will be made by end of December. We should by the end of December, first week of January, we should have our national team selection already of the 20 players.
Flores lays out their training plans for his team.
We're sticking to our plan, sticking to our program to get the boys ready for the actual 20 cuts and training. The following Saturday, we'll get into the main field or this field, and we're going to get into the fielding drills, outfield drills, the pitching, and also the situational plays.
That's for next year?
Yeah. And also we'll get into some BP hitting to get the guys practice my run. And might even run all day from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, 9 to 4 to run so we can get everybody situated in. It's going to take about 2 to 3 Saturdays before we can see and before we can make our decision on the actual 20.
To avoid the spread of COVID-19, they always follow the safety protocols during training.
As you can see, our boys are practicing the 3 W's, wash, and we're also wearing our masks during practices. So I encourage also the public out there to do the same thing.
Flores is confident that the new baseball field will be ready on time for next year's Pacific Mini Games.
To our NAMASA, our Olympic Committee, NAMASA and our SBL, as well as our leadership, the Honorable Governor Ralph. Again, we ask and we have confident that we will break ground so we can get our field going, get it ready, game ready for June 2022.
Here are some more updates on the Northern Marianas Pacific Mini Games 2022. The virtual 2021 Pacific Games Council General Assembly took place over the weekend in preparation for the Pacific Mini Games next year.
First of all, they were supposed to be on island 2 weeks ago for the big General Assembly with all the 24 countries, but because of the no flights at all from the international flights, we did a Zoom meeting with the respective countries to the likes of the French Polynesian president, prime minister of I'm not sure, Vanuatu, I believe, and then all high positions that we actually presented to. And after that weekend, it was more of an informative update on what was going on within Saipan.
The biggest topic was COVID-19 safety measures.
They are very interested in how we're tackling the pandemic, right? And we are one of the safe. I always reemphasize that we are one of the safest countries in the world. And so in December 17, with our communication with the CHCC and the task force, we're coming up with a new protocol for athletes and officials that come in.
Under the new safety protocol, the committee is planning to create an athlete bubble a week prior to the actual games in June 2022.
We'll be creating, as I mentioned in today's presentation, we're creating an athlete's bubble within the bubble so that athletes are able to practice before their actual event the following week. So, but then they still have access to sports equipment within their respective hotels. So right now we're going to be meeting with HANMI, MVA to discuss different charter opportunities that will be coming from either from Fiji, Australia, Japan, and Korea. And we'll see how it goes also with the Hong Kong travel, because a lot of the charter flights out of the South Pacific go to Hong Kong.
Most of the participating countries are interested in joining the athletes bubble.
Right now, we have great positive response from our 24 countries. December 17 is when we'll get our actual numericals that will be committed. So right when we get that number on that day, then we know exactly how many rooms to reserve, because it's going to be the first time that the athletes are going to be staying at the hotels. So that's one of the most exciting part of it, other than the CNMI being able to tackle the pandemic. So everybody's excited for the 17th, December 17th.
Go-karts, off-roading, and the driving range now open at Marianas Trekking. Go-kart track will be open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays with 50% off when you book online at marianastrekking.com, hours 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Use the promo code HAFA50 to get your discount. Off-roading is open too by reservation. Come on a 90-minute trail ride that is perfect for families. Book online at marianastrekking.com. Golfers, come practice on the driving range. You can even pay online, and we will have the balls waiting for you. Come see us weekends at Marianas Trekking, 323-8735.
Hi, I'm Dre, one of the personal trainers here at Goat's Gym, and today we're going to show you a Bulgarian split squat, a fantastic lower body exercise that should be a main staple in your training. Now, the first thing we want to address is the rear foot placement. Now, whether it's toes on or toes off, just find what's comfortable for you. The bigger issue we want to tackle is the height of the box or bench. You see, when you set up on a box or a bench that's too high, that inherently puts an aggressive stretch on the front of your hip. Oftentimes, that sensation will take away from the working leg, the leg that's on the floor. And when you start to add load in this faulty position, you're bound to run into some problems, particularly if you got some mobility restrictions. So Jamila's gonna set up. She's gonna descend with control, and from there, just stand tall.
Here is your weather report. We have scattered showers and thunderstorms. East wind around 17 miles per hour. Tonight it will be partly cloudy with isolated showers. East wind 10 to 17 miles per hour. High 87, low 78, 75% humidity. Tomorrow it'll be mostly sunny with isolated showers. East wind 10 to 14 miles per hour. High 88, low 78. Sunrise will be at 6:19 a.m. Low tide 12:28 p.m. High tide 6:03 p.m. And you can catch the sunset at 5:44 p.m. Well, there you have it. That is your news, weather, and sports. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you back here on Friday.